Hello and welcome to this regular featured appointment viewing that we have been putting out now for the better part of almost 5 months non-stop. Almost 100 hours of primetime programming, getting you the best of India's wealth creators, people who are associated with the India growth story. For the important purpose, we are all in the same boat and we all need to do well for each and every one of us to do well. The conceptualization has been clear. A lot of momentum has been building in what are without doubt the most difficult times that we've seen in a lifetime, in a generation, perhaps several others. But in the past few days, we've had the government of this country reach out to people in the Indian diaspora. More than 3,000 scientists and a month-long mission campaign is running there. Now, on artificial intelligence, another mission campaign is being started. Our own mission campaign is to get into the mind space of all of us watching, wherever we are watching this telecast, of what can be achieved if we simply unleash the power of ourselves. Let's quickly open up this conversation, which we do in association with BusinessWorld. Gurudev Somani joining us. He is a director of Mastersoft. Preeti Upala, CEO of Omnia, author and speaker. Satya Yeramasetti, founder and CEO of Telugu. Syed Fawaz Ahmed, co-founder of Digital Jalebi. Karmesh Gupta, CEO and co-founder of WiJungle, joining us. And as always, we have the editor-in-chief of BusinessWorld, Anurag Batra. Anurag ji, set up the conversation for us.
Yes, we always have said that lives matter and livelihoods also save lives. So, when you talk of business, NewsX is a general purpose news channel, but lives and livelihoods are interconnected. So NewsX and BusinessWorld collaboration of making sure that we are able to get out of this maze that COVID has created by finding innovative solutions. And some of those solutions may germinate on our show. So let me start by asking all the panelists about how the last 6 months have been for them and how they've pivoted in their businesses. How do they see the business over the next 6 months? We know Diwali is close by. It's almost 40 days away. So we know that Diwali will be good. The next few weeks will be good. But do we see this optimism beyond Diwali? Do we see the business growth beyond Diwali? So let me start by asking Karmesh. Karmesh, how has been your business and where do you see it in the next 6 months? And what have you done in the last 6 months to pivot, to kind of reimagine your business in the post-COVID times?
Thank you, Anurag. Thank you, Rishabh, for having me here. I think if we speak about ourselves, so we are a company that serve a very basic and a crucial aspect of enterprise IT infrastructure, right? And in the last 6 months, they have been amazing for us. If you compare the quarter 1 numbers of last financial year, 1920, with the quarter 1 number of this particular financial year, we have seen a significant jump and we have grown by 360%. That's all because we have been successful in delivering the solution which has made people continue their business operations even during the pandemic, right? So last 6 months been really good. We have expanded our sales team. We extended our R&D team as well. In the next 6 months, it's something the market is opening up well. And we are hoping up a very, very good response from the market because large private enterprises are something which are a little slow at the moment. And we hope that after Diwali, this will going to be a good boost for us.
Preeti Upala, India was always an attractive destination for investments. And, inherently, all our fundamentals are strong. We still have the largest market. We have a consumer base which has a tremendous purchasing power. But tell us, how does the globe, the world look at India today? Does it look at it even more important market as compared to our eastern neighbor? So we would like your opening comments on that. And how do you think India is doing vis-a-vis, let's say, USA, UK or Canada in terms of dealing with the economic downfall created by COVID?
Well, namaste everyone. Thank you, Dr. Batra, and thank you, Mr. Gulati, for having me on your show. Pleasure to be here with you as always. If there's one country that can bounce back and recover from this pandemic, it has got to be India, because this is truly an aspirational country that keeps wanting to reach greater heights as the world's largest democracy with political stability and policy continuity, and its great grand determination to diversity and democracy, of course. It makes it incredibly important. I think the one thing that the world has realized post-COVID is, number one, they don't want a world that's run by China. They would like frameworks that are run by other nations that they actually respect. It's also shown the fault lines, I think, in the Western liberal democracies in so many ways. I think India has done tremendously well considering the situation and its resources and its size. And I think almost the world is looking to India to see what it has done right, both in terms of the health of the nation, but also, I think more importantly, the economy, because it really is about the economy. I have a lot of confidence that this economy will bounce back. Some of the things that made India attractive before was it being, number one, having the largest workforce in the world, and that too young. These are young, mobile, dynamic, second largest English-speaking population in the world.
In spite of that, we've lost business to Vietnam. We've lost business to Bangladesh in textile. What can we do post-pandemic to kind of seize the moment? Let's be real about it. We know that while the ease of doing business we improve, we still have a long way to go, while the Prime Minister has been able to improve it substantially. So what do you think can be done to kind of make sure seizing the moment, actually making investments happen? We know Apple is coming to India. So tell us, what can we do better?
Yeah, I mean, this is a golden opportunity to make use of this. You don't get this sort of opportunity all the time. Yes, we have lost out to some of these other countries, but I think they were they were industry specific. Let's put it that way. I think in the grander scope of thing, India does come out on top. I think it comes down to reforms. I think it's the job of the government and the state departments to have labor reforms and all sorts of reforms. Also, we are still getting good FDI, and we were receiving plenty of great FDI even before the pandemic. Some of that should actually go into the infrastructure, revamp it, I know we have a great workforce, but take it up a notch so that I think invest in the education too, so that then you have a workforce with critical thinking and sort of the basic ability that makes them even more attractive to the global market.
I would want to talk to you about, it's an election year in the US. The election is almost 35 days away. That also means a lot of warmongering and China bashing. And election time is also good for military, where people buy in anticipation of a war. So how does the inactivity in defense boost economy? We'll come back to you for more comments, but let me bring in Mr. Somani. Mr. Somani, again, I would like to know your opening comments. How are you doing as a company, and where do you see it over the next 6 to 12 months?
Thanks, Anurag. Mastersoft basically is a digital transformation partner for K-12 and higher education institutions. So when the pandemic struck, our first challenge was to help understand the institutions what this is exactly. And the first thing we did was ask principals to send messages to their students that they should stay at home and what should be they doing at home. So we used our platforms and we sent messages to millions of students in India through the principals. In India, even today, principals have a very high impact on students. Initially, the first challenge, since the pandemic started in the month of March, April, we had got summer holidays then. But the first challenge came in June, July, August, when we had our admission season going on. And institutions were not ready during that time to have their admissions online. So this is what we did. We first enabled institutions to go online with our admission systems and all. Later on, we have been helping institutions to govern themselves using various virtual platforms. So most of the faculties, principals in the Indian higher education, especially in tier B and C cities, are still, they were not very well versed with Zoom or Teams or any other platform. So we first helped the principals understand how they can conduct their daily meetings on virtual platforms. Apart from that, there was a chaotic situation initially. So we ensured that principals stay in touch with their students via various platforms. We conducted hundreds of platforms, meetings and trainings for the institutions.
So what has it meant in terms of revenues? See, you cannot mistake activity for progress or activity for growth.
I think Anurag, my smiling face says it all.
Yes, so give us a sense of numbers.
It has been a phenomenal. It has been a phenomenal last 4 or 5 months. We have done almost 6x, 7x business than what we did last complete year. So it has been a phenomenal year for Mastersoft, and we have been adapting. February, I was in Seattle, and I saw that COVID has just started to come in. So we understood that the requirements of education system would be really great. So we started developing a lot of other platforms, a lot of easiness for the users. Because of that, we were able to catch up with the market and business in terms of revenue, in terms of number of users. But more important is we were actually able to help more customers. We were able to help more institutions.
I would want to understand in the latter part, in terms of budgets for schools, how they have shifted, what are they spending on, what does it mean for certain subsectors in technology. Satya, your opening comments, where is your company headed, and how do you see the business and economic environment over the next 6 to 12 months?
Thanks, Anurag. See, at Telugu, we provide communication platform for enterprises. So large audio conferences happen on Telugu platform. So a lot of these political parties, when they wanted to talk to 20,000 of their workers or government officials like collectors or the police people during COVID, when they wanted to talk to frontline force, they were using our audio conferencing platform. So to give a perspective, before COVID, in February, we were doing close to 20-25 lakh minutes per month. And after COVID, during COVID, we were doing 1.5 crores. So it's close to, 8 times we've grown in terms of numbers. And we helped a lot of this to talk to each other and stay in touch and, plan properly to effectively monitor the lockdown. And after lockdown, also the business is growing phenomenally, as a lot of these fertilizer companies or agrochemical companies, they want to talk to farmers where they don't have internet connections or smartphones, are using audio conferencing platforms to talk to large numbers like 500 farmers in Nepal or 1,000 farmers in Nepal. And that's helping them, reach out to a lot more customers in that sense, and their teams as well.
Okay, that's good news. And again, by the way, Satya, Indian language content and Indian language platforms will drive a lot of conversation and hopefully a lot of commerce in the future. Fawaz, you're a digital jalebi. Do you solve problems or do you complicate problems?
No, we solve the problems.
So you have to change your name. Jalebi in colloquial terms means something that's complex. It's sweet, but it's complex. But go on, tell us, what does digital jalebi do and how have been the last 6 months for you, and where do you see the business environment headed?
Yeah, thanks, Anurag. We are a new media design studio. We make interactive installations and events being a big part of our business. Due to the pandemic, many of the events which are already confirmed got cancelled because government policies, and we couldn't have more people gathering at a place. And our softwares work where there is a footfall happening. So we understood the need of a virtual platform which would satisfy the need of the alternative for physical events. So we spent around 2.5 months in making our own platform, because at that point of time, in February, there were very few companies which are not in India who had their own platform, but we wanted to make our own platform which would give complete flexibility to our clients to create their own events as they wanted, with the experiential elements, as well as we could wanted to give them support what our clients couldn't get from the the foreign platforms. So we invested, our whole team, changed in terms of the skill sets. They upscaled the operation teams who were handling the physical events now had to, learn new softwares to manage the virtual events. So it has been a quite challenging times, as well as it has been a good.
Tell us a bit about adoption, because I am aware, being a media company, we do over 170 events. We've taken them digital. These are large format events. So did NewsX. So we use a couple of platforms. Tell us what is unique about your platform and what has been the adoption like? Because there are many platforms. I can tell you that. We also have a platform on the business of events. It's called everything experiential.com. So we understand. So tell me, what is special about your platform?
I think it is the flexibility in terms of, because we are a new media design studio, we were into virtual reality, augmented reality, holographic projection mapping. So these are the experiential elements which would make every event unique. So we have tried to incorporate those experiential elements into our virtual events platform, which I think makes it stand apart. And the ability to respond faster. So our turnaround time in 2 to 3 weeks, we are able to pull off an event, which is quite a good thing, which I think is our unique point.
Fawaz, let me ask you this question and give me a sense of that. I know you have a vested interest in digital doing well, but today we are doing digital events because we have a compulsion of not being able to do physical events. The government of India has allowed from 15th October B2B events and exhibitions, but I'm not sure we will be doing them so soon, because one, there is an efficiency in doing it digitally. Second, the investments are lesser. Third, there is a fear factor. Let's be very real about it. So tell us, do you see, once we have a choice, we will still do digital events, or we'll go back to a fully physical world of events?
See, each has its own charm. My personal preference would be a physical event, because once you are inside an event, you are involved there. Your whole body, your senses are completely there. So what effect you can have on an audience is much more in a physical event. But looking at the positive aspect in terms of reach, in digital you can reach out to a larger audience, and and of course, like you rightly mentioned, the cost. The cost to reaching out is much lesser. But again, the attention span, adaptability, people having the right equipment at home, so
and
that they can be
sales connectivity.
Yes,
I know we do e-demos in our platform, all that, but they're not the same as somebody coming to a stall, actually spending 10 minutes, 15 minutes with you. So I think it's the jury's still out on whether it'll be fully physical or it'll be a hybrid model. If you talk to anyone in an industry like education or events, they say it'll be hybrid in the future. But we'll see where it goes. Never, COVID has taught us, never say never. You don't know, we don't know. Say we don't know. If we knew, we would have solved COVID by now. Coming back to you, Preeti, again, tell us in terms of the defense economy, in terms of the military economy, how do you see the next 3 months? Do you see India making, so to say, acquiring more ammunition in terms of more fighter jets, more advanced fighter jets? For example, while we've been offered the F-21s, India wants the F-35s, which only America has and Israel has. F-35 are the 5th generation. So Rafale, we have been offered more, 30 Rafale, I'm told, if at all we are in a warlike situation. So tell us, that is also commerce. Defense is a very large industry. It is not just a need for survival, but give us a sense of how the geopolitics and geopolitical realignment is also creating opportunities in economy.
Oh yeah, fantastic. I mean, there's nothing like the war economy. It's like one of the few times in a cycle of a nation when they do well is actually during a war and right after. Geopolitically, I think we're in a sweet spot. This is the closest we've been to the United States, with much more there's a push to get even closer, not just financially and militarily, but in many other ways. I mean, Ambassador Nikki Haley, the former US ambassador to the UN, recently at a US-India conclave said that the US is finding out who its real friends are during COVID. And she looks at India as a natural ally with shared values and interests, and she wants us to work together. And so did John Chamber. He said the same thing. He said that in Modi we see a leader who is really putting together all the pieces of this nation, and he predicts that India is going to have a growth that the world has never seen before. Regarding
and he's put his money where his mouth is. He's invested in Indian startups. He's some of my friends who are very young and very, very enterprising and may go on to build very big companies. So exactly, John has put his money. And Preeti, there is this debate. As I said, it is the election season in the US. We, India, are invested in it because we're a large partner for America. There is always this debate, who's better for economy, and the sentiment right now is Republicans are good for India. But traditionally, irrespective of whichever government, we've had broadly good relationship. Give a sense of what do you think?
Well, on the one hand, yes, Indian Americans have traditionally always voted Democrat. However, I think due to some looking at the stance that the Democratic Party has had towards internal matters of a sovereign nation and our own domestic issues, whether
talking about the stand of some of the Democratic Party members on the Kashmir issue when the Article 370 was abrogated.
And the CAA and NRC, the community has felt that it's been a little antagonistic towards this democratically elected government with a huge mandate and a prime minister that's beloved not just in India but outside as well. And they're basing.
Somebody who was a neutral observer would say that for the first time the Indian prime minister endorsed a candidate. I mean, while Mr. Donald Trump is the president of America, he's also a candidate of the Republican Party. So the Democrats were clearly cited, and it was in some way a response to that, which seems believable. So tell us what kind of economic improvement we can see in ties if a Republican president comes back. Clearly that president is Donald Trump. So tell us tangibly, where do you think our collaboration and investments will go up?
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. Look, every leader does a song and dance, so I wouldn't put much on, Trump sharing a stage with Prime Minister when he came. I mean, it was reciprocated in the Motera Stadium anyway. But yes, coming to a more poignant point, the investments and collaborations will be varied. Technology, of course, but definitely in this military arena, I think India is going to do two things. It is actually going to ramp up and purchase even more, whether it's the F-21s or F-35s and so many other advanced.
America has not offered F-35 to anyone yet. And, because they're really fifth generation. Just to tell you, between a third, fourth, fifth, the fourth generation have a range of anything between 150 kilometers in air, 200 kilometers, whereas the fifth generation can have anything between 250 kilometers to 300 kilometers. In air capability. So they're clearly very, very lethal, if I may say. So clearly we'll see more cooperation in defense. Yeah. We'll see more investments in India, and we'll hopefully see also business treaties that enables investments on both sides. Let me go to Mr. Somani again. Education has seen about $2 billion of investments in the last 1 year, and looks like the party is just getting started in education. Every company is worth its salt, wants to be an edutech company and is positioning itself as an edutech company. So tell us, where do you see the edutech industry going? Because clearly there can't be 10 players in every sub-segment that will survive. There'll be one or two segments. Also the biggies like Google, Facebook, Jio are getting into education. So clearly, there will be consolidation at some stage. What do you think will separate the boys from the men or the girls from the ladies?
So, as you rightly mentioned, everybody today wants to be in EdTech, and we have been seeing investments billions of dollars in not only in India, actually across the world. When you check what's happening globally, India still has a very small pie. Having said that, Indian education system is one of the largest in the world after China, and most of the investments that are currently coming in are in the relearn and the
upgrade yourself,
yes,
reskilling,
yes.
also post-school education,
Post-school education,
that's
employability, and basically for the employability. So I mean, I still see that there is a lot of scope for more players, especially to help institutions run themselves better. And with the national education policy coming in and the cross-functional teaching that is going to happen, I'm not sure after 5 years what would be the role that the edtechs would be playing, because the same level of education would be provided in the schools and colleges. So now you have a standard 6-7 kid who would be learning coding, and you will be having an undergraduate who would be learning big data and data science.
But Gurudev, sorry to interject you. Can you just help us understand? What are you saying? Are you saying that CBSE will be producing its syllabus like BYJU'S is producing a syllabus right now? That's what you see the future is? That instead of an NCERT textbook, we'll have NCERT video books?
Absolutely. I won't be surprised if NCERT comes up with video lectures or if NCERT comes up with video books. We should really focus on the national education policy. And the NEP says effective use of technology for improvement of student learning outcomes.
What is the hybrid model in your opinion? What does it look like? Where education per se is going to be public driven, right? In the end, most of the edutech players are producing content for the state and national syllabi. What is the future of the hybrid model?
Future of hybrid model would be that schools will be playing a more important role. And education will happen in two ways. Right now we had a 100% go to school approach. Now in COVID we have a 100% online approach, wherein all we can see is there are a lot of things that can be learned by a kid staying at home. So a lot of those activities will be happening from home, wherein parents would be playing a role of mentor. Okay. There would be AI enabled bots that would help students to learn from home. Apart from that, for a lot of other activities like collaboration, like physical activities, students would be going to school as well.
Okay, so somebody's going to have to land that NCERT contract. That's going to be a big business in itself, the public sector of this. Can we just rope in Karmesh? Karmesh, can you hear us? If you can,
I can.
Tell us about a bit about WiJungle, and what your experience has been as Anurag has been asking the others.
Absolutely. So we are a comprehensive product which enable organizations to manage and secure their entire office network and remote network through a single window. So we have been doing business across 27 countries, been into the sales for around 27, 28 months, grown well with a year-on-year progress rate or growth rate of 450%. And we, I think, have been much focused onto the SMB segments and government segment initially, and now moving towards the large enterprise side. I think the government policies, especially the Ministry of Electronics and DSCI policies and related to public procurement order, specifically for cybersecurity products, has proved you can say a major milestone in the journey of a startup, where they have actually exempted the startups from the experience and turnover criteria. Okay. Moreover, they have actually given us the flexibility in terms of the foreign certifications which are required to do business. Okay. So those are the two things. Yeah.
Okay, so just help me understand this. What problem that are you solving for an SME that is not available from off-the-shelf kind of products that you and I use as a consumer?
Correct. So currently the market in the cybersecurity side is quite distributed. So you need to purchase multiple standalone products if you want to solve the entire stack, or if you want to have the entire stack within the office or network security purpose. So the factor is, like, we being a comprehensive solution are focusing upon delivering the essential stack through a single product. Okay. Right? This basically brings down the investment. This basically also simplifies the management.
Okay, so are you guys building your own product?
Yes.
Okay, so where do you see cybersecurity in India going? Because we're talking about, data centers. If you want to do data sovereignty in this country, you're going to be looking at massive explosion over there.
Correct.
So where do you see cybersecurity in India developing to the point where we are now becoming the global brand names, or will it still be just fitting, and if we sort of handle our own market good enough, that's a big enough pie?
Absolutely. I think the market in India is not old. The number of cybersecurity startups which you will see, 90% of them have got incorporated in the last 1 decade, right? And when it comes to the global names, Indian companies are really working hard. You will be surprised to hear that I know more than 30 plus Indian product companies which are selling well in 20 plus countries worldwide. So we are really the front runners on the Industry 4.0 side. And if you talk about the preferences which are being given in terms of maybe data localization, so there's a lot of preference from the government side as well, and in terms from the large enterprises too. And you know, like National Cybersecurity Strategy is also about to be launched this particular month. So this will also going to add up a lot of preference to the
Okay,
Indian
how
companies.
serious is the threat, both in terms of industrial espionage and in terms of reality, that we are not secured? We don't have national firewalls in this country to the level like other countries have national firewalls. How serious is the threat for viewers watching?
Absolutely. So when it comes to the consumer side, it's really, really very scary. The fact is, the consumer-centric cybersecurity aspect can only be handled with the awareness. If you're not aware, definitely you'll be falling or becoming a victim one day or the other. When it comes to the enterprise side, large enterprise really do have funds in order to procure the products and deploy it in their infrastructure. And coming to the SMBs or startups, I'll specifically talk about the companies which are of size up to 200 or 300 people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gap. They really do not have the products which are meant to procure or meant to be securing their.
Okay, I'm going to, before I take a break, I need to go to the others also. Before I take a break, just help me understand. A lot of the work we do, for example, now is not happening on local platforms. A lot of my work is happening on WhatsApp. This meeting is happening on Zoom. They're all various kind of products. How do we become cyber secure? If I come to you and say, listen, you will find all these holes in my security, how do I actually fix them?
So if you're talking from the consumer saying nothing much can't be done, it's all about the awareness aspect. Okay. But if you're talking from the enterprise side, who really have the endpoint protection deployed in the appliances, they can actually control it in a very concrete way.
Okay, all right, just stay with me. Satya, what is the scale now of the opportunity when we are talking about a virtual economy? Not an online economy, a virtual economy, where like this is, we are part of the virtual economy. I am of course having to pay a software provider to host this meeting which is being telecast, right? So yes, they're making money out of the license over here. So what is the scale? Is there a scale? Do we know the math of what the scale is? Because all you guys are reporting 4 times, 5 times, 8 times, 9 times. But is there a scale?
Scale, if you take Zoom, they've grown 8 times from the time COVID stuck. So they were at around 600 million. Now, they're something around 2.4, 2.5 in terms of revenue billion. So that's one company that we're talking about. So if you take across the spectrum, that will be hundreds of billions of dollars that we're talking about.
Okay.
We see a lot of consumer, companies moving their business online. Sari shops, people who are now selling saris on WhatsApp, sending pictures of saris to housewives and their regular customers. So
how lopsided, Satya, how lopsided is it? I mean, us working on American platforms, in the end, I have to qualify them as American platforms, WhatsApp, Facebook, Zoom. How lopsided is it? How much market share can you guys actually compete with? By you guys, I mean startup or businesses here in India.
So as long as customers don't care about what country of origin of the product, and as long as the product works well, Indian companies have to compete with global companies in terms of features and in terms of understanding local requirements and customize it according to their needs. Then we can take some market share from the global players, and that's the advantage Indian companies will have over the global companies where they don't understand, or they would take time to customize and understand.
Okay, what do you make of this new government model? They've recently, MyGov had this competition, for one of the best softwares in the country, that they want to do a competition-based model rather than a tender-based model. What do you make of this idea? Is it a good idea? Do we need to do it better? Is it not a good idea?
It was a good idea. There was a lot of awareness that was created in asking a lot of companies and in the general public to support Indian made products, or can we build a product which can compete with some global companies? But then after that, nothing much was done. The hype died down and nothing much happened.
Okay, so we need to do more. Okay, we need to build momentum. We are talking about AI today with the Prime Minister. We are talking about R&D on Friday. These are happening on a mission footing, but it has to happen both ways. Before I take a quick break, Fawaz, same question to you. What is the scale when we talk about a virtual economy? And I don't mean online. Virtual economy means that we are sitting and projecting ourselves virtually, or something that we ideally would want to do in together at a conference or at an event somewhere. What is the scale of that opportunity going ahead?
See, I think like rightly Satya mentioned, we are yet to come up with a product which is scalable. So right now, even we are using, let's say, Zoom or WebEx, or there are multiple other platforms. These are just video conferencing. But for casting at a professional level, we still are using the platforms which are already available, which are not made in India. But like you mentioned, the competition-based model. But you can get some good ideas and innovative ideas. But when it comes to scalability, it is those big companies who can actually reach out to the granular level of.
No, but why are they being successful? Why? I mean, was Zoom just there at the right place, right time? Did that help them, or do they have some tech location? What advantage did they have that they become so big, and all of us have been in all the parts of the globe have been using it?
Yeah, Zoom was already there, but it was used locally. We have been using Zoom even before the pandemic, but after the pandemic, almost the adaptability, everyone started.
And also, Rishabh, dare I say, because we do a lot of virtual events, Zoom is very standard. It's very, it's a very cookie cutter approach.
Yeah.
But events need to create an experience. And how do you create an experience online? How do you do customization? Yeah. You add elements of e-demo. So I think kind of people have built Zoom plus, if I have to say that.
Anurag, why don't you this is my next question to you. Just stay with me, Fawaz. Why don't you take this, Anurag? Because as people would know, BusinessWorld hosts a lot of these conferences. And this year, in the past 1 month, Anurag has been hosting a lot of virtual awards, virtual conferences. So, what's the trial and error that you've learned there? As you would be a customer company to, some of these guys. What have you learned?
So
Anurag ji.
I can say, Rishabh, one, when you were talking of video, like, old times we used to do press releases, and we still do press releases. But I think when there is a video press release from an ANI or a PTI, and NewsX or India News carries it, so video is becoming more and more important. It always was. Now, if you're not video, you're not an editorial product. Second is what you asked. In terms of, there are 3 elements. One is the element of connecting with the audience. Then is the speakers kind of engaging with each other. And third is the speakers or the influencers interacting with the sales team of the sponsor. Creating business to business commerce through connectivity. I think on all those, I can say that every platform, I think I know.
So my basic question was, what's the one X factor missing is that we would meet at a conference and then over chai, you and I would be discussing something, or you would be discussing something else. Is that how much of that is replicable in a virtual conference?
No, they've been able to replicate it 100%. I would say, but we are a little old fashioned. And Rishabh, there is a philosophical point there. The more the digital conversations go on, the more the value of actual face-to-face and, human touch, so to say. I'm more looking forward to seeing you in a studio and having a cup of tea, having banter with you. Similarly, when it comes to business and business to consumer events, you're having a meal with someone, you're having a drink with someone, you're just having a conversation. That has been replicated. E-demos have come in. You can go to the stall in virtual way and check out, and you can get a demo.
Correct.
But it's not the same.
Okay. Now, okay, it's not the same. Yeah, okay, Fawaz, make an interjection, then I need to take a break, guys.
Maybe I'm a little old-fashioned, but it's not the same.
Yeah, I totally understand. But if you see the platforms that we have developed, there are various breakout rooms, so multiple sessions can be happening. So one
there is a lot of platforms.
Yeah, but one thing, Anurag, what you have to acknowledge is the analytics. If you see what we are able to get, the post-event analytics that we are able to give to our clients, that is way better than a physical event.
Preeti Upala, we've just seen the Indian Prime Minister hold, this diaspora conference with researchers and scientists from all across the world. Okay, it was a pretty dramatic event. It got coverage here. but of course we couldn't do it justice. There's another one, of course, that's happening now on artificial intelligence. The criticism has always been that we've done the flagship things, but it's the ecosystem creation that we've really struggled at. What do we need to do different when we talk about AI? When we talk about, 3D printing is not kicking off in the same scale where it's become ubiquitous almost in where you are in America. What's the X factor missing here?
We walk the walk, but we need to start, we talk the talk, but we need to start walking the walk. I think follow through with all these great claims that we make, because it all seems so perfect. But I think a lot of support needs to come from the government in encouraging smaller businesses, entrepreneurs. I think we need to really change our mindset from the system that we've had all of these decades to, being an entrepreneur is great. The whole free market, capitalism, and the more you make, the more prosperous the company or the person is, the more you can do for your country. I think somewhere in the subconscious of the Indian mindset is still this, old socialist mentality, which it creeps up in places that you would never imagine. So it's a matter of really changing the way we even look at business and money and progress, prosperity, and so on. I think also where we've been lacking is our communication. I think India is a great country. We have such great scientists and innovators, but how do we communicate that to the world? How do we let the world know how brilliant we are and what we're coming up with?
Okay, no, but is it changing? When we talk about being Bangalore and us simply doing back office work, our software industry is considered, you guys are back office people.
I called Bangalore the sweatshop of the world.
No, but it has been call center operations are tough operations. They are odd hours, difficult operations to do. But is the logic changing that instead of a back office, you're the front office now of the world? Is that happening, or is it wishful thinking?
I think it's in the process. Nothing happens overnight. I think this is the best time ever if we wanted to make that claim and actually manifest it. I think the world is also looking for other countries, other solutions. That's where we step in. So we have to do a better job at communicating, I think, our capabilities. For example, India has the second best space program in the world, second only to NASA. How many people in the world know that? How many Americans know that? Only when it was aired on TV, when we had the Mars mission, the Americans found out, wow, India's doing this is brilliant. But the whole world needs to know of our capabilities. That's on us. I've got a few minutes left before I hand over back to Anurag ji. I have to ask you, Gurudev Somani, what is the one, we had that comparative advantage logic, and it was a cost logic which led our software developing model. TCS is still the biggest earner for Tata Enterprise, Tata Sons, biggest earner, still killing it there. But we've seen a lot of competitive markets. Vietnam has been one, Indonesia, Malaysia have caught up over there. So what are we doing now? Because when we look at all these global companies who are employing people like you, and many of you have spent time abroad and you come back here and are running your own companies, what is the one place where you see competitive advantage, the one area where you say, this we've got it nailed? Gurudev. I think the people...
Yeah, Preeti, let Guru take that. Gurudev.
I believe the Indian people make the biggest differentiator that we have.
Can't hear you. Yes.
Am I?
Yeah. We can. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I still believe the Indian people, the Indian students, the Indian education system is a big differentiator as compared to Bangladesh, Vietnam, and other countries. The single window option, which the government is soon coming up in almost all the states, has been a major boost for industries.
Okay, but where? Where do you see it? If are we going to be number one data center operator in India, in Asia, or maybe world? Are we going to be number one 3D printer manufacturer? Are we going to be leading the space? Are we going to be leading EVs? Where do you see it? Are we going to be leading edutech? That should be an obvious one where we should be leading. Where do you see it?
I think we would be world's best software products producing nation. We have got the best minds at work. Look at the kind of products that we have built. And we have Bangalore, we have Chennai, we have Hyderabad, and there are so many companies that are coming up. So I think India would change the world by the software.
All right. Okay, Karmesh, same thought to you. Where do you see us? What can we nail space out of the park. That, India number one, 40%, 50%. It's going to be a $1 trillion market. That 30, 40, 50% is controlled by India and Indian companies or India's space ecosystem. We need to nail defense. Where do you see it? Where do you see the one place where you can say, okay, 5-10 years, we've nailed it. We're not nailing 5G. We've just started working on it. But maybe can we nail 6G? Give us some examples.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I talk even about our industry, I'll not be pompous about it, but it's something cybersecurity will be one of the you can say factor which will be making India as a global center of innovation. So you can assume the around I would say 50 plus companies in their own respective categories becoming the world leaders in the space of cybersecurity.
So you're saying you're basically telling me to uninstall Norton now, right? That's what you're telling me. Okay. Same question to you, Satya. Where's the one place that we can lead it? Karmesh is very big fan of his own industry, cybersecurity. What's the one place where we can rule? I mean, fifth industrial generation economies, where can we rule?
I think software as a service, and mostly in the customer service services like our own Zohos and from Chennai, and then we have Freshdesk from Chennai. They already showed us the path. I think a lot more companies are following that path. And SaaS is the segment where we'll rule.
Okay, I was just interviewing two boys out of IIT Madras who are planning to launch their first rocket into space next year, and they're being incubated within IIT Madras. Fascinating conversation. You guys in the south of India killing on the space sector. Fawaz, give us an area because the Prime Minister is talking R&D. We have to nail R&D, right? We have to become the number one R&D center in the world. We have to nail AI. I don't know how we nail AI. We are so far behind right now. What do we do?
See, I think in the last few years, there has been extreme importance on engineering and medicals. By default, most of the college graduates, they have orientation towards engineering and medical. But I think if we inculcate design thinking and innovative thinking, more understanding towards why innovation and research and design is
but that's the theory, Fawaz. How do we do it? What is the X factor missing? That, even 3D printing is considered exotic abhi tak.
Yeah, because I think at education, like Gurudev was telling, at the education level, if you bring these design thinking into process, because I am from NID and we were given an extreme importance on problem solving approach. That is totally missing because I'm an engineer also. I've done my engineering. So the way our education, at least even now, education it is mostly towards getting a good job.
So now it boils down to last obvious question before I had Preeti Upala. What is the one thing that the Americans get right? That despite the Chinese creating, monopolies by barring the world, which is in India, which we don't want to do. There are some Chinese apps we banned, but Google can still run here. Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, some of the biggest markets are in India. What is that what is the model that has been created that is allowing this to happen so much so that we quit India to go there and then become, billionaires or in some cases now a trillionaire will be the next thing? Preeti.
Yeah, it's the system. It's the entire system. It's the American dream, of when you work hard and you do all the right things and you have a vision and you're got a dream, you want to change the world, you can do it. So you get the government is out of your way. It's small government, even playing field. There is equality in that respect. You don't have these extra obstacles that you do in a country like India. So the system is built ready to go from day one. When you step out of that plane.
Okay, get out of your way. Get out of your way. Get out of my way or highway. Anurag Batra, here we keep doing Desh Seva. Do we keep working very hard and not everybody becomes a billionaire?
Rishabh, it's not just hard work. There are two other things that America has different. One is you can dream big. In America, they do dream big because of the way. When I keep saying the Prime Minister is changing the mindset by saying AtmaNirbhar, that benefit may not happen tomorrow, day after. It will happen. He's saying we can do it at the scale China can do, at the scale American can do. So one, they're taught to think big. They're taught to fail. And in India, we only celebrate success. We do not celebrate failure. And nothing's called failure. It's a experience. Experience is the second thing. In America, a lot of things are predictable. The policy is predictable. So if you put in X, you know that you will get Y. In India, we still have a long way on both these things. So that's...
okay, Anurag, we got 6-7 minutes. You take it over for the last.
Let me ask all of the panelists, two questions and I want direct, straight, honest, undiplomatic answers. One, when you look at the Indian economy, in spite of all your businesses doing well, when do you see it back in full bloom? You know, like it's firing on all cylinders and we are back to 6%, 7%, maybe even 8%. In 6 months, in 12 months or 18 months? Second, what's that one lockdown lesson you learned as an entrepreneur that will help you in good stead throughout your life? So let me start with Karmesh. Karmesh, one, when will be the Indian economy back in full bloom?
I think 9 to 12 months. That's what.
Why do you say that quickly?
Yeah, so first thing is like now the market is opening up and every phase of unlock is actually giving up a more room to the different industries to actually get the business from. So that's one aspect. Second aspect, when you ask about the another question which you put up around the, can you come up with again, like?
The lockdown, what did you learn from lockdown?
Yeah, lockdown thing, yeah. I think the first part is the security as a service, or you can say software as a service will be the key in the future. A lot of things which people have witnessed, and this has actually given a boost to the entire ecosystem to think around it.
Thank you. I would add on that software or technology will not only be a capex model, it will be an opex model.
Opex model,
this is
correct.
what it is. So you will see that, and I'm talking a large technology spending. Mr. Somani, when will the economy be back in full bloom, and what's your top lockdown lesson?
I think it will take 12 to 18 months for us to get back on our feet. My one lesson was change is inevitable, and if you force people to change, they do change. I have seen that happening amongst hundreds of academicians, people who were just, were not tech savvy, are now running schools, running classes. So when people are forced down, they do learn. So
good, and I agree. But the only nuanced point of view I have is right now we don't have a choice. We have a compulsion.
Absolutely.
We'll see what behaviors stick when we have a choice and not just compulsion. Fawaz Sayyed, when will be the economy back in full bloom?
I think by December we are hoping that the events will start happening.
Which December? This year, December, next year, or the year after?
This December 2020. So hopefully by June, July 2021, I think we'll be back. That is my hope. And one thing what we've learned is adaptability, like Gurdev rightly mentioned, is we were very comfortable with a certain platforms we were working on, but now it's due to the pandemic, it's totally changed, and now we are adapting and we are open to learning new things, and it's a compulsion now, it's not an option anymore. We have to adapt.
Absolutely.
Satya Yerma Setti?
I think 9 months, as Fawaz said, I think June, July we should be good to go next year, 2021. And my lesson from lockdown is I was firm believer of working in one space and, to colleagues interacting with each other. So we used to hire only people from Hyderabad. People used to move from Bombay, Delhi, everywhere. Only they could join us, only they were Hyderabad based. But now, one thing that opened up for me and we are adapting is work from home. And I think even after the lockdown, we're going to continue this one. So forever life, work from home. And a lot of companies, my friends' companies, they're all moving work from home. So that's a big learning.
I'm not a big believer in work from home. I mean, we've been working from home, but I call it flexi work.
Yes.
I call it work from anywhere, WFA. And that I did even before COVID. Whether it was a hotel lobby or a coffee shop or anybody else's office. So I think we have to work. Second, you have to have very motivated people to work from home.
Yes.
I don't think the productivity of everyone is the same. The productivity of people who are motivated themselves are very high. So we've got everyone's view. Your view, Preeti Upala. When will the Indian economy, and let me extrapolate it to the global economy, will be back in full bloom? And what's your one top lockdown lesson that will help you as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'm going to be, I am very confident, but when you're talking about the whole country and a booming economy, I'm going to say 1.5 to 2 years. I think it'll take time for it to organically come back up to speed.
And why? qualify it
Because
even
I
more.
think that nothing can happen overnight. I mean, and also some industries, yes, the events can start in 2 or 3 months, but then there are other industries that it will take many, many more months before it really, you can really get back to where you were pre-COVID, right? So when the median of all of that, you amalgamate everything, I think it'll take time for the country at large to get back to shape. And I'm very confident that it will. If there's one country that can, I think it's India.
I'm with you on that.
And my personal lesson is, number one, this is a global village. We are so interconnected, not just business-wise, but spiritually, emotionally, in all of its ways. It's good. The oneness and interconnectedness is a great thing. The flip side is, when we're this deeply entrenched in these global supply chains, there's a domino effect, as we've seen. So I think we need to have our wits about us moving forward and make sure we are not
diversify supply chain. Hopefully, when that happens, India will benefit from it. Thank you, Preeti Upala. Back to you, Rishabh.
All right. Thank you all. It was a fascinating conversation. Of course, so we continue this again tomorrow. Thank you all for everybody joined us.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.